So, what expectations do you have if you were to like cut technology completely out of your life?
Can I ask you a question again? It's like if I'm cutting technology out, like can I use my phone or like we're
Like everything, like
everything?
social media out.
Your entire
Canvas.
career out.
Do I have no phone?
You have no phone, you have no nothing.
That'd be scary. My first use of technology, I think it started in second grade actually. I got lost in the woods and then my mom got mad. She called the police and I came home and she gave me my first cell phone. It was one of the little flip phones and that was the first thing I remember about using technology. It was just so I could use this phone to call my mom. I think I use technology a lot day to day and I think it's become a pretty bad habit. And the first thing I do in the morning is like I think I check my phone and I think that's kind of standard for everyone. And then all of my classes involve technology. Basically all of the assignments and all of the stuff that we do, nothing's done in person anymore. Everything's done through Canvas and you turn in papers online, you write papers online. And I don't think I've used a pencil in any of my classes at all in the past like years. So that's kind of wild. But even by the time I go to bed, like I have a ritual in which I can't just go into my bed without using my phone for like a few minutes first and then I can go to sleep. So I think that like it's kind of become maybe a bit too much in my life, maybe to a point where it might be hindering me, but it's too late to kind of change anything for me, I feel like.
So the only social media I use is Instagram.
Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and Snapchat.
Use Twitter at least every day.
Twitter.
Snapchat the most.
Snapchat.
Instagram, Facebook.
Probably TikTok. Takes up a lot of time.
Definitely Instagram.
Instagram, I use Facebook.
I use them pretty often.
Use it every day,
Use it every day. Way too much.
2 hours a day.
Constantly.
In terms of social media applications and stuff like that, I think I'm fairly negative in that I know that they play a negative role in my life, especially in terms of like the amount of time I waste and I spend on them. They're really good at wasting people's time, and I don't think people realize how much time they're actually using these applications. Like if you check your screen time on your phone, it's usually an alarming amount, and you're like, oh, that's surprising. And there's limits you can set on how much time you can spend on these apps, and it'll give you notifications and stuff when you go over. I think for most people that could be beneficial. But for me personally, I know that social media might lead to like, I don't know, anxiety and kind of comparing yourself to other people. I think overall, they're probably not good for the youth and most people. They're good for connecting with people, like family members and Facebook and maybe stuff like that, but I think that their use should generally be limited. And most people probably don't benefit from the social media applications.
The way these social media sites are programmed and set, it's just these algorithms that like, oh, you're interested in this, well, let's pull you up. And like when you're about to get off, well, here's this thing. Like, you know, it knows you more than you know yourself, kind of. And it's a really, really weird way in which technology works. And it could be used for the better or for the worse. But I think people need to find a balance between, you know, that there is life outside of the phone and technology.
Before the pandemic, I was always still a big computer nerd and I used all these technologies a lot. But I think that when the quarantine happened and I was kind of like alone for a fair portion of time, I used the technology to kind of connect with my friends a lot. So instead of like meeting in person, we would talk on like Discord and stuff like that. And for me, that became a big social time for us, and it was something I even looked forward to because that was some of the main social interaction that I had during the day. And for me, that was kind of like a coping mechanism, I guess, because it gave me something to do, and it kind of replaced this human interaction that I would have outside of technology. I guess it kind of helped me get through the pandemic, and for me, it was beneficial, I guess. Maybe in the long term it wasn't, but during that time, it kind of made me happy, so it worked out.
I think the way in which the pandemic has affected me with technology would definitely be limits. You know, at the start, I was on it every single day, keeping track of the news, looking to see what was up. You know, were we gonna have a summer that year, that kind of thing. And as time went on, I had to teach myself to stay off of it because I realized there might be a pandemic going on, but there's still the outside world. You know, spending so much time on that is not healthy. Now I just like that urge to get on there is not there. Before I was always checking, like, you know, every time I was on my phone I was at least checking it to see if there were any new posts and things like that. And now it's just like it's there and I have it downloaded and I have myself logged in, but I'm not as inclined anymore to click on that. And I think just taking that break was what I needed. So.
That it negatively impacted my mental health, I'd say, and would be quite a distraction.
Positively, it keeps me updated on media and current events.
I'd say more positive because like kind of like going there to like kill time and just see like kind of like news and stuff, see what people are doing, catch up.
It impacts your sleep. Sometimes it impacts your work progress. But it is a very good platform to get news as well because you know what's going around with the social media. Negatively because I feel I have like an addiction to them now.
It definitely like intended to have positive, but I think a lot more people are exploiting the negatives about it now. So like, you know, clickbait and like, you know, I know Instagram, they have this like update now where it's basically TikTok. So like, if you go on Reels, like you're gonna be looped into like hours upon hours without even realizing it.
It's up to you to, you know, maintain that balance.
Twitter is a weird one. Like Twitter's gotten a lot of flack in the past few years for becoming kind of like a cesspool of like toxicity and like just people who don't know how to like discuss things. So I avoid that because if I read too much into that, it does like affect me because I'm like, man, I really live in a world where like this is how people communicate and think. Like it depresses me. So
I think that if I were to cut social media and technology out of my life, I might feel closer to the people who are in my direct vicinity, but I also think it'll be harder to make plans and kind of coordinate meeting up with people that are important in my life.
I mean, I worked with kids for years now too, and I think the later you are to access it, you just know how to handle it better. When you're younger, there's that influence there, there's the constant comparison between you and what else you see on there. It's that consumer mentality that like just brings you in and it just doesn't let you go, and then you find yourself like almost draining yourself and drowning in a pool of just comparing yourself or self-doubt or even things like, you know, mental health. There's a million things that go into it, and I just think it's a love-hate relationship.
I would say that technology does run my life, and I'm pretty dependent on technology. I think that I use my phone every 10 minutes, and I think that if I didn't have it, I would get anxious. I know that it's one of the few things that I've never lost in my life, because I know that if I wouldn't have it, I would feel worried, I suppose. And I guess almost everything I do is kind of on the computer, especially with my major of cybersecurity and how much time I spend, you know, at my desk every day doing homework and working on assignments and stuff like that. So I think I'm definitely fairly dependent on it, and I'm not sure what I would do if I didn't have access to these devices, because I think I'm just very reliant on all of these things at this point in my life.